Thanks for tuning in for another video. This is Hudson with Charlton Construction. Today we're out doing some post replacements on this drive shed. This is a finished shop. It's about 20 years old now, almost exactly. And the customer had creosoted all the 6x6s prior to being buried underground. But we're noticing some settling issues as these posts are rotting out just from soaking up the water. And they tend to rot right at the surface area, and there's been a few of these I've been able to throw my hammer right through completely. So there's not many or not much information out there in regards to replacing perma-columns on a finished building. Generally they demonstrate in a drive shed where you just dig down from the inside and you don't really have to remove any tin. So I'm going to show the process of how we're doing it here on this completely finished building, cement floor inside. And basically we take off the corner piece. The corners are the trickiest ones, I would say. Take off the whole corner piece of tin on either side, peel back the Tyvek, and we got to cut the bottom piece of trim. Otherwise you'd have to take all this tin off to pull that piece of trim out. So we just kind of cut it, fold it up. This one has 4 splash planks. We're going to be replacing the bottom 2. Basically, this piece of trim is mounted in the 3rd one up, so we leave that one and replace the 2 underneath of it. A lot of this gets done with the Sawzall. It's just impossible to get in here and pull the nails out. So we're gonna take the Sawzall and just cut all the way down here. There's a 2x4 in behind, and I'll free up those nails. I have been jacking up on the inside, however I don't think it really does anything. It's just there's so much steel on this building that the posts themselves in the summertime aren't even carrying weight. So I've cut them and they tend to stay put exactly. So I'm going to get these cut with a Sawzall and then start digging here. So here I'm starting to take out the nails that are holding the top splash planks in place. They're basically nailed directly to a piece of barn board. That piece of barn board is nailed into the 6x6, and that way you're able to mount them flush is basically the idea. So I'm just peeling out those R-docks. They just laced them full, and the galvanized, for whatever reason, seems to seize into the pressure treated wood. So it was a fight the whole time, and definitely had to use that side claw on my hammer a lot. Yeah, I think I even tried sticking the hammer onto it for more leverage, but once those are all out, the next step is essentially to cut the splash planks to the new correct length in order for them to match up nicely to the perma-column. And the reason you want to do it now is once you start hacking the post out and excavating dirt and everything, sometimes the splash planks fall because there's not enough nails in them, and it's just harder to cut them nicely. So I found it was best to cut those planks when everything's in place perfectly like it is right now. So there I'm measuring the width difference. It ends up working out to be about 1/4 inch each side. So I just trim off those planks there that much, and then the bottom 2 or bottom 3 planks are getting replaced. Now it wouldn't be a good idea to just rip those out right now, since it is actually holding dirt underneath the floor. So I found it was best to just trim them off enough with the Sawzall so I could, still get at the post, and then leave the planks in place till everything was done, and then rip those pieces out. That way all that dirt, because you're using the Sawzall a lot, you're using hammers, and you're just going to end up knocking a bunch of that dirt out from underneath the the floor in this case, and that's, you're never going to get the dirt back in. Why it grade didn't get brought up to floor height when they originally built it, I don't know, but we're just working with what's there. It may be kind of hard to see what's going on from here, but I just ripped out that piece of barn board. That's was securing the top 2 planks, and then it switches and goes to a pressure treated 2x4. Now you can't pry the 2x4 away because it's tight up against the concrete. You can kind of see it here at this angle. So that means you got to cut the nails off. So I tried a few different blades and had some I liked and didn't like, but it was a lot of nails to cut because they used a full-size 3.5-inch R-docks and put quite a few of them in. So Sawzall was a must for this job. Sometimes it's hard to tell if you're hitting the cement floor or nails, so it's hard on Sawzall blades. This is the first time I've actually tried the Diablo wood blades, so we'll see how they work. I couldn't get more than about 2 posts out of a Milwaukee one. I found they dull pretty quick since you just use the end for most of the cutting, but yeah, this feels pretty sharp still, so that was impressive. See if I like them better. let's talk about how rotten this post actually is. I have it cut off here at the height of the perma-column. Basically, I just measured the length of my perma-column, marked it from the cement footing up. That's where you cut. Yeah, I've got this all broken loose with the Sawzall. The post is just sitting here. It's not even attached to the one below. If you watch me shake this piece, it's completely, I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but it's completely a different piece from down here. Okay, take my hammer. There's nothing even left of this. And it looked from the outside like it was, you know, not bad at all. So looks can be deceiving. If you have an old building that's on wood posts, check it out. Make sure that they're not rotten, because, you know, you could have a building like this. Anyway, we're gonna get this fixed up, get this yanked out, and move on to the next step.
I didn't really show how I pulled the old post out, but on every single one I just cut the post in half with a Sawzall or broke it in half, and then pulled it out that way. If you try to pull it out in one piece, it just tended to bind, so you just pull it out by hand and be careful not to pull too much dirt out with it. And then the next step was to take the cement saw and just cut out this little sliver of concrete that interferes with the extra width of the perma-column. So I just cut that and then chisel that little piece out, and then the perma-column fits in there perfect.
All we've done here is the perma-column. The perma-column is a little bit wider than a 6x6 because of the 1/4-inch brackets on either side. So usually if you're doing an inline post, you just cut a little bit off of each side so it fits in nice. Here, it's 5.5 inches deep, just like the 6x6. So all we need is for it to go this way a little bit. That's why we cut this out, and that's why we're cutting into this, just so that doesn't hold us back. I don't know why there's a nail underneath here. Pretty much each one's had a nail there. I don't know if that was what they used to mark grade or what, but maybe.
This step was kind of tricky. It took a while to kind of develop a system that worked well for getting the new posts underneath. My original plan was to jack up on the inside, and hopefully that would lift the post enough that I could get the extra clearance. But that never worked. No matter how much I jacked up, it didn't seem to lift. And I think it's because all the steel on the building just made it impossible. So I found what worked was I put a structural screw in the top as kind of a hinge to hold the top somewhat in place. And then I proceeded to push the base of the perma-column in with the excavator bucket. Now, a lot of people might be worried that, well, are you going to crack the perma-column? Are you going to break it? I had great success this way. I pushed pretty hard on a lot of them. The concrete that they use to make these is 10,000 psi concrete, plus they claim 60,000 psi rebar inside, so you're not going to snap these unless you're really reefing on them. A lot of the struggle with getting them to shove in is just overcoming the resistance of the rough footing that's below it. But once it starts to slide with the excavator, most of them slid right in, and then you just got to drill out your top holes and put your lag bolts and other structural screws in, and you're good to go.
There's the uplift brackets for the wind, just in case a storm was to ever lift this column out of the ground, that the dirt holds it in. There you can see I've got 2x4s mounted on the side. That's to screw the splash planks into. The old ones ran right up past the floor, but it just doesn't fit now, and there's no way of cutting it. So yeah, that's all there is to it. See, it fits in there nice and tight. Basically, I run a structural screw into the top, kind of like a hinge, And then I just push the bottom in with the excavator bucket, and that seems to be the best method so far. So it's not that it, you know, has to lift the building or anything. It's just it'll never slide straight in because the ground's so rough. So that's the cement pad right there for the footing. So we'll move on to the next step.
And that's really all there is to it. Put it back together the way you took it apart. And the only thing that you really see difference in the end is the new splash planks and a little bit of concrete. But the building will stand forever, that's for sure, unlike the wood post before. So if you enjoyed the content, please like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.